Hello everyone, welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Juliet. So in this video I will be making a shipped dress with a hood. Here I have my fabric. I folded it into two using my shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus my sleeve length and another 1 inch for seam allowance. So shoulder 8, sleeve length 8, 1 inch allowance, making it 17. So I have 17 inches there on fold. And then for the length, it is the entire length of the Ankara, which is about 45 inches. So for the second piece, I added extra 1.5 inches to it, which is going to be for zipper allowance. So my dress has a zip in front. So here I'm marking the zip allowance, which is 1.5 inches all the way down. So using my ruler, I connected the lines together and I am folding in at that point such that my front and back pieces will now be at the same level. So I folded the zipper allowance in. I'm going to use my iron to make it flat. I'm trying to make sure I don't fold past that line. So next up, I'm marking the shoulder, that's 8 inches, and then that is the sleeve length plus the 1 inch of allowance. I am marking on this line, which is the edge of the Ankara. We don't need that. So all our measurements are going to start from that point. Next, I am marking my neck, which is 5 inches deep. If you are on the smaller side, let's say a bust of 39 and below, 5 inches will be too much for you, so I advise to use 4. And then for the neck width, I used 4 inches, which I will advise you use 3.5 if your bust is from 39 and below. So I marked 4 inches wide and 5 inches deep here for the front, and then for the back it's still 4 inches wide but half inch deep. So the back neck is just half inch down, which is okay for everybody. So I curved the front and the back neck. I came in by 3 inches from the center and then I came down by 1 inch on this side. I'm going to connect to form the shoulder slope. So next up, I am marking my shoulder to half length and then shoulder to hip line, which I used 24.5 inches. So from that slanted line, the shoulder slant, I marked 10 inches for my sleeve opening, and then I extended the same line to the inside, and then on that line I marked quarter of my bust measurement plus 1 inch of ease and 1 inch of seam allowance. So on this half length line, I also marked my half length round divided by 4 plus 1 inch of ease and 1 inch of seam allowance. On the hip line, I did the same thing, quarter of my hip measurement plus 1 inch of ease and 1 inch of seam allowance. So I'm connecting the lines together. Then on the down part, I'm going to mark the same thing with the hip, quarter of the hip measurement plus 1 inch of ease and 1 inch of seam allowance. I'm connecting the lines together as well. So next up, I'm going to curve that point out, as you can see. making sure there's no sharp corner. On the hem of the dress, I came up by 4 inches and then I made a curve like so. I want that effect on the lower part of the dress. So now I am cutting, starting with the shoulder slant. I cut out the back neckline, which is ½ inch. Then I lifted up the front piece and I'm cutting the front neckline only on the front piece with the zipper allowance still folded in. Next I'm cutting the sides like so. So the length of the Ankara is exactly the length of my dress, which is why I left it like that. So that is it for the cutting. Next, so I'm measuring round the front neckline with both front and back still on fold. I measured round the back neckline first. I got 4.5, and then I'm measuring round the front neckline, which gave me 7.5. So what you're going to do is subtract the back neckline from the front neckline. That is 7.5 minus 4.5. That gave us 3. We're going to use that measurement to cut the hood. So I'm opening the front piece into 2. These are the 2 basic measurements you need to cut the hood. The length, and then this is for the round measurement. So for me, I had 16 inches for the length, which is what I am marking here. And then for the round, I got 12 inches plus extra 1 inch of allowance, making 13. So my fabric here on fold is 13 inches. So I'm marking 16 inches. As you can see, 16 inches also includes allowance of 1 inch. Next, I'm marking that 3 inches from that 16 inches point down. Ideally, you should mark it inwards, but I'm marking 3 down to add extra to the length of my hood because I want it to be oversized. So if you don't want that, from that 16 inches, you go up by 3 inches, which is the difference between your back neckline and your front neckline. So on this edge, I'm going to measure the front neckline in a slant plus extra 1 inch. Half should be fine, but I'm marking 1 because it's better I have excess than I have any shortage. So I'm marking the front neckline, which is 7.5 plus 1, making it 8.5 in a slant. So from where the front neckline stops, I'm going to mark the back neckline, which is 4.5. But I added 1 to that, making it 5.5. So I've marked it there. Then on this upper part, I go in an angle by 2.5 inches, and then I'm going to curve from the down part, connect it like so. And that is basically it for cutting the hood. The next thing, we are going to cut it out. So next, I'm opening the front part into 2 as well. Remember, it was on fold and we don't need it to unfold. So next, I'm cutting the pocket. I have my fabric here. I am marking 11 inches wide and 12 inches long. So I'm going to be cutting out 2 pieces like that for both pockets, 12 inches by 11 inches. So I have two pieces here for the pocket. So next off, I'm going to place the pocket on my front piece. I already drew a shape of how I want the pocket to be on the front piece. So I place this on top and I'm going to trace it out. So typically what I did is from that zip line, I came in by 4.5 inches, which is my dart, and then I came down by 4 inches, and then on that 4 inches down, I marked 7 inches from the zip line. So I made a curve to connect both points. Note that the pocket goes into the zipper allowance as well. So that is it. I've cut it out. You can make a mark at this point to be sure of which part that is up, because I got confused along the way. So here I'm cutting lining piece for the hood using this plain black fabric. So next I'm going to take each of them and go sew right sides together like so on both the Ankara piece and the lining piece as well. Putting the two pieces together right sides, also round like so. Next I'm going to cut like a facing for the upper piece of the pocket. So I place them on two pieces of fabric. I'm going to trace out the curve and a bit of the sides, both up and down. After that, I marked 1.5 inches all around. Next, I'm going to place the facing piece on the wrong side of the pocket. So the right side of the black fabric will be on the wrong side of the pocket piece. So I'll go sew the curve like so. I will repeat the same thing for the second pocket piece. So after sewing, I turned to the right side and I ironed, and then I'm folding in a little bit of the black fabric using my iron. So after folding it down, I'll take it back to the machine and then top stitch all around like that. After folding, I got about ½ inch left. So the black fabric is about ½ inch wide on the outside. So I'm repeating the same thing for this second piece. I turn it to the right side, and also I notched it before turning. That made it easier, and it relaxes better when you notch. So after ironing, I'm folding again before I'll take both of them to the machine to top stitch. So after sewing, this is the hood. I am notching around the curved part, after which I will open it up and iron the seams flat. I will repeat the same for the lining piece. So next off, I'm going to place the two hood pieces right sides together. So that is the right side of the lining piece with the right side of the Ankara piece facing each other. I marked the seams on the shoulder, on the top. I'm going to pin it all around and then take it to the machine and sew using half of an inch. So after sewing, I turned it out and I gave it a press, and this is what we have. Here is the pocket pieces as well. I have top stitched them. So next off, I am folding the sides using half of an inch. This is so it's flat before we attach it to the front piece. So the part that is going to be inside the zip allowance, there was no need to fold it, but at this point I was confused. I didn't know which part was to go into the zipper allowance and which part was to sit on the top. As you can see, they both look the same, and probably with the same measurement as well. So I'm placing the second pocket piece on top of the first one. That way I will be able to fold them equally. I need the two pockets to be exactly the same. So here is the front piece. The front pieces, rather. So I'm measuring down. The pocket is going to start from the half length. So I measured 18 inches down from the top. This is the right side of the front piece. 18 inches down from the top, and then I'm going to place my pocket from there. So like I mentioned before, I already drew the shape of the pocket on the wrong side of the front piece, so I was able to somehow still figure it out. So you see that part, there was no need folding it. You can see that I'm opening it up. It should lay flat like so into the zipper allowance. So I'm going to be pinning the pocket down. I'm also adjusting the fold on this other end It appeared too wide for me. So that is it for one pocket piece. So I'm ironing it because I need that crease to attach my zip. I'm placing the second pocket piece on the first one, just so I get exactly the same thing. I'm also adjusting this other side that I adjusted. So the fold on this side is a bit wider by 1 inch. And here is the second front piece. I am placing it on the first one, making sure they are equal. That is so my pocket is at the same level on both sides. I'm going to place them together like this, making sure they are equal. With the pocket in between, I'll just lift it up and then pin it to this side as well. So next I will go sew the pockets, then hem the lower part of this front piece before attaching the zipper to it. I'm going to be attaching the zip at the crease. That is why I'm ironing it so that it's obvious enough. So after sewing the pocket, I will hem the lower part and then I will attach the zipper. I have a long zip that's about 40 inches long. So after sewing the pocket, I went ahead to attach the zip after folding the lower part of the dress, and this is what we have. You see that the pockets are on the same level on both sides. That is very important, gives it a professional look. So next we'll be joining the front and the back pieces together, starting with the shoulder. So I'm placing the back right sides together on top of the front. I'll go sew the shoulder on one side using 1/2 inch, and then I will repeat the same thing for the second shoulder using 1/2 inch as well. After that, I will fold the sleeve side. And here is it all done. The shoulder is done, the sleeve is folded, and this is what we have. Next, I will be attaching the hood to the neckline. So you have two options. You can attach one piece, that's the main fabric, to the neckline and then fold over the lining piece to hide the raw edges, or do it like I'm doing. I folded it all around, and then I cut a strip of the Ankara piece to hide the raw edges. So this is it, all done with the raw edges using the Ankara strip. Next up, I will be joining the two together by the sides. So I turned it to the wrong side. Now we have right sides facing each other. I started with the sleeve opening, which is 9 inches. We marked 10 initially. One was for allowance. So now I'm going to mark the exact sleeve opening I want, which is 9 inches. I marked it there, and then I am connecting using 1 inch of allowance all the way down. Remember, we added 1 inch of ease and 1 inch of sewing allowance. So I'm just marking 1 inch all the way to the down. I will repeat the same thing on this side as well. Mark my sleeve opening of 9 inches and then 1 inch of seam allowance all the way to the bottom. So I will go hem the lower parts of the back piece before sewing the sides together. After that, this is my dress, all ready and looking good too. Thank you for watching. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it, share it with your friends, leave a comment below if you have any questions, and I will see you in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and also click on the notification bell so that you will be the first to be notified whenever I post a new video. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.
So you wanna go to war with me? You're talking like you think you're royalty. You think that I'm afraid, but I don't break. I heard you question my stability. You think I'll fall just like a guillotine, but I am here to stay.